Hey guys, I'm Rosa Limo. Today on The Grow Show, we're talking about No Resolution, which is the 8th song on my new solo rock album, Grow. Hey guys, I'm Rose. Welcome back to The Grow Show. Today we're chatting up No Resolution, which is a pretty straight up rock tune. Lyrically, the song is actually about, of all light and fluffy things, unresolved trauma, and how that can really do some serious damage to us in the long term unless it's addressed. So how does it fit on the album? Again, Grow is conceptually about mental, emotional, and spiritual growth, and the struggles we encounter as we try to grow and move through our life to a better place. And dealing with trauma can be a really big stumbling block on that path and can really slow us down as we try to move forward and make our lives better. About a year or two ago, someone had recommended this book to me called The Body Keeps the Score by Dr. Bessel Kolk. It's a great name. I love it. He's one of the leaders in the study and management of trauma. The book is about past trauma leading to PTSD and how even if we think we're over a trauma, sometimes the effects of it can linger on us, not just mentally, but also physically, and manifest in a wide variety of ways, so affecting the mind and the body. And the interesting part was that in many instances, the person affected can't really even link their current issue to this past trauma. They may have forgotten it. They may not really have wanted or been in a place to admit that it was a really big deal, so it kind of got dismissed and not processed. The idea in the book is that there's something in us that in certain instances can actually hang on to these old traumas, even if we think we're over it, even if we have no memory of the traumatic event at all. One of the aspects of the book that struck me on a personal level was how damaging it can be if we suffer an event and just don't take the time to appropriately process it. So, let's say you go through some horrible event, like, in the book, he gives the example of somebody that goes through a big car accident. Okay. So while it's unfolding and after it happens, if you recognize what just happened and you felt all of the emotions as they came, like anger, fear, whatever, and you're kind of a disaster for a while. Obviously, like, it's normal to feel, a little shaken. It's actually really healthy. But if you've been honest with yourself about like what you felt and what you went through and given it the weight it deserved, and you were in a position to feel and manage, all of the emotions well and in a healthy way, chances are you may have a better time recovering from that event. In another instance, let's say that you were, so overwhelmed by whatever trauma happened that you couldn't really handle all of the emotions that came along with it and just kind of buried it because it was just too much to manage at the time. Or let's say you went through something horrible, but, didn't or couldn't really admit that it was as awful as it was and just kind of dismissed it, or let's say your trauma happened a long time ago and you don't really remember it, or you weren't in a position at the time to fully handle it or manage it appropriately. So the author would say that, if you were in one of these situations where the trauma wasn't, really processed appropriately, chances are good that unresolved trauma could come out later in a whole variety of ways. So unchecked anger or sadness, physical, long-term, chronic health problems, nightmares, etc. No Resolution takes some of these ideas of being confused by the effects of an old trauma on. Okay, so in the song, the person had been hurt by somebody else a long time ago at a point where she wasn't really able to fully understand what had happened and also can't really clearly remember what happened. So she's having a hard time processing the sadness that it caused her. It's also hung around for a while. It's an old trauma, right? So now we're seeing the effects from it. So all she knows is that she's super pissed, right? She's super angry. And that angry is just pulling her deeper and deeper into a lot of confusion and a lot of despair. And she can't really understand why it's happening. And instead of being able to, again, process the event and the emotions and directing them in appropriate places to try to move past it, she's directing them inward, and it's just kind of ripping her apart. And so it's a really sad song. I know on first listen it just sounds like a really angry piece of music, but it's really quite sad. Chemical repetitions, because we intimate the outside in. Battlegrounds at the center of myself. So this book, The Body Keeps the Score, it was super intense read. I mean, as you can imagine, there's some really difficult things that you can't really unsee once you've read about, certain people's trauma. It's no joke. But it was also a super insightful book. And if you're interested, I highly recommend it. Again, it's The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. I'll leave notes for it in the little summary below the video here. So that's it for today, guys. Thanks for sticking around. I hope you're enjoying the tunes and the videos. Definitely subscribe to my channel if you like what you're seeing. Leave a thumbs up or a comment. It really helps us when you do that. I'll be back next week where we're going to talk about song number 9. It's the title track of the album. It's Grow. And then it's just one more week until we are talking about The Angry Sea and reach some of the happiness and the peace after going through all these growing pains. So I promise the album has a happy ending. Just stick with me. I'll see you back in a week. Take care.